What's up, everybody? Good morning. We've got some more Seattle Seahawks breaking news. The team is doing stuff. The team is putting in some front office work. And once again, the name of the game seems to be freeing up some 2023 money. So, let's talk about it here. Quandre Diggs. Quandre Diggs has restructured his contract per the man himself, per Quandre Diggs himself. He has converted his 2023 salary into a bonus. So, what this does, it does a few different things, but the big thing, the main thing that Seahawks fans should be thinking about right now is it frees up some cap space in 2023. So, we now have a significant amount of cap space that we did not have as of yesterday. So between the Uchenna Nwosu extension, which should free up somewhere around 4 to 5 million, and this restructuring, we've now freed up enough money to sign our rookies, freed up enough money to put together a practice squad at the end of the preseason, and we should have a decent amount of money to bring in at least one more player from free agency or maybe even make a trade. It's not going to be a big thing, but it is going to be a thing. So, for those of you out there who are hoping we land somebody like a Shelby Harris, a Matt Ioannidis, or any one of the remaining defensive linemen still on the market, of which, as I've said before, there are quite a few, it seems like it's going to happen. This is not something that you just do because you feel like it. This is not something that you do just because you flipped a coin, it came up heads, and you're like, okay, it came up heads, that means I'm going to restructure Diggs' contract. This is something you do for some kind of reason. You need the money or you want the money. So between these two moves, we have freed up at least 10 million in cap space, which is way more than we needed to sign our two remaining rookies and put together a practice squad. And of course, you want to have a little bit of wiggle room under the cap cap ceiling during the season. But even with all that, you should be feeling like you can bring in somebody without overextending yourself at this point. And given the fact that these two moves have happened now, you're kind of sort of all in, so you got to go do it. I know that we're not all in the same way that a team like the Rams went all in, or a few years ago the Texans went all in. But when you're doing something like this, there is an effect down the line. And the money doesn't disappear. So the cap hit goes down for this upcoming season. If you go over the cap, they already have the updated numbers reflecting the change. You can see Quandre Diggs' cap hit is now down to less than 12 million. Before it was about 18.1. So Quandre Diggs with this move now costs about $6.2 million less against the cap than he did previously. So you are saving about $6.2 million. But that money doesn't disappear. That money is pushed into 2024. So Quandre Diggs' cap hit goes up in 2024 to $21.25 million. 21.25 million, which is going to be very hard to get out of now because this also increases the dead money cap hit if you release him. You can actually see that OTC has already updated their numbers reflecting this to just over 10.25 million to release him. So you're still saving 11 million. You could do it. I want to be clear about that. If Quandre Diggs does not play well in 2023, you could still do it. Stuff like that happens pretty frequently. However, I think it's less likely now. I don't think you're doing this with the plan of releasing him in 2024. So unless he plays really bad or gets hurt in a devastating way or something like that, you're now kind of committed to Quandre Diggs in 2024. If he plays good this year, I think most people will be fine with that. But I definitely know there are some Seahawks fans out there who were kind of amped up to move on from this massively paid safety era in Seattle after this season. Probably not going to happen now. Diggs is probably going to be here next year. And I mean, it all depends on how he plays this year at the end of the day. But this is the kind of stuff you do when it's time to move your chips into the middle, and that seems to be what's going on here to a extent anyway. Obviously, if we were truly all in, we would have probably restructured Draymond Jones's initial contract. We would have done certain things like maybe even restructuring Jamal Adams. I mean, obviously that would have been very dangerous, but you would have done it. So we're not really all in, but we're kind of all in with a signing. I'm sorry, a restructuring like this because next year's team just got a little bit harder to manage financially. Now, the good news is we got new money coming in. The salary cap goes up every year. The Amazon money is probably going to come in one of these years. And these cap hits are going to seem less significant, but there's no getting around it. Quandre Diggs, while he is a good player, you are gambling on him having an improved season in 2023 so that 21 and a quarter million doesn't look so bad in 2024. But these are the kinds of gambles that you make when you're going for it, and it feels like that on some level this team is going for it, and I can't be upset about that. This is the one year where Geno Smith is going to be particularly cheap. This is one of the final years where DK Metcalf is going to be especially cheap. This is going to be one of the last couple years where you have a lot of valuable players on rookie deals, the rookies from last year and the rookies from this year. So you've got a limited window to take advantage, and that's what we're trying to do. And the nice thing is, we at the very least are going to get one more year of really high quality and cheap labor from the rookies next year when Diggs's contract cap hit goes way up. So you're not going to have to pay Charles Cross yet. You're not going to have to pay Abe Lucas yet. So having that big cap hit next year is not the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. And that's really all there is to say about it. So Quandre Diggs restructures his contract, creates $6.2 million in cap space this season. We now have more than enough money to bring in one more player and pay our rookies and handle the practice squad. Again, the name that everyone's throwing around out there is Shelby Harris. Let me say this. Shelby Harris is a longtime NFL veteran. It would not surprise me if he is going to sit out most of the training camp and just not sign with anybody. He doesn't need to be part of the training camp process. He doesn't need to be involved in that. He can handle things on his own and then come in maybe a couple weeks into the preseason and be ready to go by week one. That may be what's going on here. Maybe he's not signed with anybody because he just doesn't want to do the whole training camp song and dance. That would be my guess as to why he hasn't signed with anyone yet, but we will see. So, yep, we got more money. Now we got to see what we do with it, but going to be fun. Go Hawks. See you guys later.